Hello, good evening, and welcome to another edition of Focal Point. Here on Focal Point today, we will not be talking about politics, nor will we be talking about the economy. We'll be taking a look at relationship and matters that have to do with the heart. And with me online today to do justice to this is somebody who is very popular on the cyberspace of Kogi State and beyond. She is Ocheni Alikeju Zainab. Ocheni Alikeju Zainab is an historian, a social commentator, a freelance writer, a research enthusiast. She's a former part-time lecturer with the Nasarawa State University in Kefi. Alikeju is from Abocho in Dekina local government area of Kogi State. Join me as I invite her to come online so that we can do justice. Good evening, Alikeju Ocheni.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How is everything going today?
Wonderful. It's been raining all day and it's been amazing.
Wow.
It's good.
And which part of the world is that?
You say zone 6.
Wow. Okay, the cloud is cloudy here a bit anyway. So I think any moment from now, we should expect a downpour. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank
How
you
is,
for
how is
having me.
our small wife, Olafe?
Fine. She's asleep right now. So fingers crossed that she sleeps till we're done.
All right. So today we'll be doing justice to some certain matters that concerns relationship. And a lot of persons have told me that they are so eager to join this, and I'm sure they'll be joining us any moment from now. We want to look at issues that are bordering on relationships. And I have some questions here to ask you this evening, and we want to hear from your perspective. Can you hear me?
I can hear you 100%.
Oh. Many men often complain about the way and manner their women appear. They complain and they use that as an excuse to cheat. Now, do you agree with this assertion? If you agree, why do you agree? If you don't agree, why do you not agree with this assertion? Over to you.
First of all, let me thank you again for having me. Uh, I'm a fan of yours. I'm a fan of the show, and I'm really honored to be here. Let me go straight to it. Yes, a lot of men complain about the ways their women look, and they sometimes use it as an excuse to cheat. First of all, let me say a person who wants to cheat will cheat. That's basic. A person who
All
wants to
right.
cheat, it's a decision you make. It's a conscious decision which it's calculated and it's deliberate. But that is not to say that there are no. That is what I'm trying to say is there's no excuse for it, but there are reasons that push it. So this is not an excuse, but it is a reason why some people do it. A lot of women in our side of the world have this notion of marriage being an end. They work their whole lives to, look pretty, put on makeup, and then the minute a man talks to them and agrees to marry them, then they're in the home. For them, it's like, okay, I'm done. I've
Okay.
gotten the end goal. I don't need to bother myself anymore. This is the mentality of many women in our part of the world. So there are men who are frustrated by this. There are men who have spoken with, who have expressed their frustration and how much they would want for their women to go back to what they used to be before they got married. So yes, some men actually do cheat because of this. The reason is they find it hard to communicate to their women what they actually want. And there are some men who actually do communicate, but the women are like, "Ah, I have
Not
children,
listening.
I have work, I have please, I cannot deal with that." So yes, it is a reason. It's not an excuse, but it is a reason why some people cheat.
It is a reason and not an excuse. Wow. I hope our women are listening and I hope our men are listening. It is not an excuse to cheat on your woman because she doesn't dress nicely. If she doesn't dress nicely or she does not look nicely after marriage, it is your responsibility to make her look the way you want her to look. Now, Alikeju, should women really pay attention to how their men want them to look or go with the trend? You see, that sometimes there are trend of doing things, and some men don't like that. For example, I was reading a comment some times ago on social media where somebody said something that some men love their women weaving their hair. They love weaving. They don't like adding weave-ons or making all this other thing. And I comment and say, I like it natural, my woman weaving. Do you think women should really pay attention to the way their men want them to look like for them, or go the way others are going now?
Well, first of all, let me say I'm a feminist, and I believe a woman should be happy first and foremost. But I also believe that relationships and marriages are a commitment. You were not forced into it. You agreed to be in it. And when you make that commitment, it is your job, it is your duty to make sure that the person you are in a relationship with is happy, if not at all times, at most times. So your main aim should be to make your man happy. Following a trend, although I don't want to condemn people who do, I feel like it's a very juvenile thing. I think it's kind of immature because there's some trends never end. They keep on and on and on and on and on.
Evolving.
But it should be now a competition between, it should be a contest between making yourself happy and making your man happy. And if you come up with those choices, what I would do, what I would suggest, what I would advise is that you make your man happy. Because again, let me reiterate, it is a commitment that you made. You made a commitment to this man that you were going to be with him. You made a commitment that you were going to love him. You made a commitment that you were going to care for him. And part of caring for somebody is paying attention to what makes them happy. What do they want to see? There's a term called scopophilia. Scopophilia is a term that means a sexual attraction that comes by what you see. So your aim in a relationship should be, and it should be a continuous thing. It's not something you do today and you're tired and you don't do tomorrow. It should be a continuous thing, just like the way you parent your child, just like the way you raise your child. You don't wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm tired. Please, I can't. No, no, no. You keep on doing it. And your man, your husband, or your boyfriend, whatever the nature of the relationship is, should be as much a priority to you as everything else in your life. And so trends, when it comes to trends, as much as I think that a woman should be happy, if you are truly in love, your man being happy or your man being pleased should in turn please you. So it should not be, if you gain satisfaction from following a trend and that makes you happy at the detriment of the happiness of your man, then there's a problem with your relationship, because you should be a unit, you should be one. So his happiness, his pleasure should be your pleasure. That's what I think.
Thank you very much, Alikeju. Now, this brings back the issue that caused a problem between Daddy Freeze and Pastor Oyedepo on the issue of submission. If we say women should pay attention to what their men want, I think men should also, don't you think so? Men should also pay attention.
100%. That is why I said if you're in a relationship, if you're in a marriage, it is a commitment. It's not a one-sided commitment. It is a commitment by both parties, that you stand up on that aisle or wherever you got married and you told yourselves, you promised yourselves to love, to care, to cherish each other. It's not a one-sided thing. Yes, the needs of each partners are different, and each partner should focus on the needs the needs of the other person and make sure that they are met. But it should be a mutual thing, because if it is not mutual, it is hard for one party to continue pleasing the other party genuinely when it's not mutual. It's not easy. Even if it's Talk about our everyday relationships. Those friends who you call often are the friends who make you happy. They're the friends who call you often. They're the friends who text you often. When anything happens in your family, they're the first to be at your house. Those are the friends you gravitate to more because they give you that mutual pleasure. So that is how relationships and marriages are or should be. You make him happy, he makes you happy. Because if only all the time, then it gets tiring. There's no motivation. There's no drive to continue to do it.
Thank you very much, Alikeju. I think if viewers listening there, a relationship is a two-way thing. You don't expect your woman to love you when you don't love back your woman. You don't expect your woman to do what you want her to do, and why you don't do. It's a mutual thing.
Just add something.
All right.
Much as it's mutual, we have to be realistic to know that in a marriage, especially when you've been in a relationship for more than a year, and then children come, you're not always on your A game. Nobody is always on their A game. There are times where you have financial stress, you have family stress, you have work stress, there are different things that come about. So both of you cannot be pleasing each other at the same time, at the same frequency all the time. So there should be an understanding. The fact that you've been doing it for a week or for 2 weeks and he has not been reciprocating should not mean that you should relent. There's something when I got married, there's something Pastor Nelson from the Transforming Church said to me. He said, when it comes to pleasing your partner, it should not be dependent on what they are doing for you. Yes, what they do is the motivation, but like I said earlier, it's a commitment, and nobody's on their A game at all times. I might be happy this month and making you happy, doing everything you want, but then next month something happens in the office or at work or something with my family, and I'm depressed. The partner should understand that something, he or she is going through something, and not make it all about, oh, you didn't do this, you used to do this, you didn't do that, you didn't. Because understanding is something that motivates a partner also. So yes, it should be mutual, but it cannot be always at the same time. It cannot be always at the same time. One partner gives more than the other partner at some times. It's a table that turns all the time.
Thank you very much, Alikeju. Now, somebody, Eliojo V. Abba, is just saying that if your man asks you not to put on some certain things like trousers and wig, and you now discover that he cheats on you with ladies who wear them, do you not expect such women to obey such instruction from a man? Never. What do you have to say about this comment, Alikeju?
That's a very interesting comment, and to be honest, I know men who have cheated with them. I know men who have wives who wear jeans and all of these, and these men go and cheat on women, on their wives, with women that wear buba and all the. I actively know people who have done that. Cheating, period, is wrong. Period, it is wrong. But there's something about a marriage that in our society, and it took me a while to understand. In our society, marriage is seen by a man as his kind of like his domain, right? And his wife is the queen in that domain. And there's a certain way he wants that queen to look because he presents her to the world. He presents her to people, and she is his image, right? The side chick who's wearing whatever else she's wearing is not his image. He hides, sneaks around to take her to the bar or to take her to a hotel and do whatever he wants and lets her go. Again, let me repeat, cheating is wrong. I am not condoning it at all. But I am saying that for men in most societies, their women, their wives are their other half.
Hello.
The kind of control they have, their women are what they used to show for that. So if your man tells you to stop wearing this and that, more often than not, he wants you to look a certain way so he can present you to the world as the other half of him. The person who is sleeping with outside is not going to be presented. And again, a lot of our men get really overly jealous when people look at their women a certain way. When people are
Certainly.
attracted a certain way, yes. So I've spoken to quite a few. I have a cousin actually whose husband, he met her wearing trousers and they got married. And he said, no, I don't want you to wear trousers anymore. Get rid of your trousers. So the reason he did, because I had an issue and I sat with him and I spoke with him and I asked him why. And he said, the way men look at my wife is just really endowed, and the way men look at her, it drives me crazy. So some men, that's also a reason. They don't care who's looking at the side chick because they know that the side chick is not their women. It's not, side chicks are sleeping with other people. They don't care then. That's not their property. But you are their property. Again, I am not condoning cheating. But these are some of the reasons that these men have given for, telling you not to do certain things and they're out there doing so. Of course, it's unfair. 100% it's unfair. It's not something that makes sense at all. But again, what makes your man happy should be your priority. I cannot say that, I cannot stress that enough. As long as he's making you happy, then what makes him happy should be your priority. It should not be, I want to do this, so I'm going to do it because it's what I want to do and it makes me happy. If you're okay knowing that you're doing something that your partner is not happy with and you are comfortable doing it, then there's something wrong with that relationship. It's either maybe he's not making you happy and you have checked out emotionally out of the relationship or something else.
Thank you very much. Now, Ishak Musa Omeza is watching us live from Abuja. Thank you so very much. Now, there's a question for you, Keju, from Leke Oloruntoba. He said, what's your take on the situation where the woman or the man refuses to change in terms of dressing or appearances? What's your take?
There's something I say all the time. And my dad also, my dad is the one who put it in my head. A lot of times, even on the streets, if you want somebody to do something for you, your approach is everything. The way you talk to a person is everything. A person can make you sell your own child to him the way he talks to you. It is everything. So a lot of times, and I'm going to speak for myself, there are things that I may not want to do, but when my man talks to me in not a domineering way, not in a bossy way, but when it comes to me in a human way, like, this is what I feel, this is how what you do makes me feel. Would you mind doing this for me? More often than not, that person will respond in a favorable manner, except there's something wrong with your relationship, except the person is keeping grudges from 10 years ago or something. But the way you approach a person matters a lot. It matters a lot. But if you're going to ask something of a person, you should be the kind of partner who also sacrifices, who also gives when your woman asks for. You can't be the kind of partner who says, when she says, I think you should come home earlier. Please, I need to be out with my guys. Please, I need to do this. And then you turn around and say, I don't think you should wear this and that. She's going to be like, well, you don't listen to me either. So it becomes hard for you to I don't want to use the word control, but it becomes hard for you to be able to get into her or his head when you want them to do something for you. Again, your partner's pleasure, your partner's happiness and their comfort should be paramount. If it is not paramount, then there's something missing in that relationship.
Thank you, Alikeju. And I want to thank viewers for watching. Please don't go away. We just want to take a short break and then we'll return. Please send in your comments and your contributions. We'll be back in a jiffy. Welcome back. Keju,
yeah.
What actually attracts men to their women? What attracts men to their women? Is it the character? Is it the look? Is it both? And what also attracts women to their men?
Okay, well, I'm a researcher, and part of researching is speaking to people and getting into the heads of people. I'm a hopeless romantic, and I love love. This topic is something that I've spent a lot of time delving into, trying to get into the minds of people. People are different. For me, I'm sapiosexual. I'm also demisexual, which means what attracts me to a person is their mind, their intellect. When we form an intellectual connection, it attracts me to a person. But let me start with men. Men generally are visual beings. Men are visual. But aside from being visual, men like to feel good. There's something about making a man feel good about being a man that attracts him. And this is usually why some men go out to cheat. Because maybe their women don't moan as much as they used to moan. Maybe their women don't act as much as they used to act when they were in bed. And these side chicks give them that validation of, oh yes, I'm a man. You have validated my prowess. So what attracts men? First of all, what they see. Second of all, and this is after talking to a couple of men, second of all, how a woman makes them feel, how they make them feel about themselves, about their manliness, and then character comes. But these three things change as time goes on. It's not some men switch it up. Some men at some point want the character more than the looks. Some men want the feeling of validation of being a man more than the character. It switches. But these are the basic three things that I think attracts men to women. And then what attracts women to men? What women want.
Yeah.
Uh, feel good. A woman
All
likes
right.
to a woman likes to feel wanted. She likes to feel needed, and she likes consistency. It's not about making her feel good this week and next week you're not keeping up with that. She wants you to be consistent in the way you are with her. And that's where the problem comes, because a lot of people are often not consistent. So a woman wants a man to be consistent. Women are visual too, but not as visual as men are. Women are more forgiving when it comes to the visual. A woman can overlook the way a man looks because of the way he treats her. And that is why you often see men who may not look like the typical society standard of good looking, but they have some of the most gorgeous women, some of the most loyal, submissive women. It's because of the way these men make them feel. So yes, a woman wants a man first and foremost to make her feel good, to be consistent in the way he makes her feel.
All right. Somebody's asking a question here. Let's take the first one. Is it forbidden for a man to take his wife out to bars? Now, before you answer that question, um, sometimes back I was having a discussion with somebody who met the wife in a bar,
Yes.
and eventually they got married. And I think this guy don't want to continue going to the bar with the wife, but the wife insists that she must go to the bar, and it led to problems in the marriage. What do you think? Do you think it's forbidden? Now, don't let us just put it at bar alone. Is it forbidden for a man to take his wife out, not just bar, to eateries and to sports, to have nice time together? Is it
No,
forbidden?
no, it's not forbidden. And this is why I always advise people. I think the major problem we have is that there's a lack of transparency and there's a lack of honesty at the beginning of relationships. A lot of times, a lot of people are not upfront about what they truly, truly want in a relationship. I always say, if you're honest about what you want, you find your kind of person. There are married men and women who together go to bars and go to clubs and do all that, and they're happy. There are married men and women who I know, some of them smoke weed together. They lay down and they smoke weed together. It is cool for them. But there are some people who start that at the beginning of a relationship, and then when they get married, they flip the script. But they fail to tell their women from the beginning of the relationship that, hey, when we get married, it may not be this way. It will not continue. I want the kind of woman who does this and does that and blah, 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 blah. And that's where the problem comes. My dad was a civil servant, and he wanted a woman who wasn't going to work because he traveled a lot around the world.
A lot.
And so before he got married, before he got married, he let the women that he was approaching know that I don't want a woman that works. Yes, I want an educated woman, but I'm going to be traveling, and I want a woman that is okay with staying at home, being a stay-at-home wife. And so he was upfront with them, as opposed to getting married to a woman and then to a woman who has all these ambitions and say, you know what, I don't think you should work. That's where the problem comes. So I think people should be more upfront with each other. It's not forbidden for a man to go to a bar with his wife. I find it very, very, I find it very, very, I think it's a very sexy thing to do. I think it's a very cool thing to do. But then you need to understand the kind of you need to define the kind of relationship you want to have in the long run. Don't start something and assume that it's going to continue. And women also should ask their men. I mean, if he meets you in a bar, tell him, this is what I like. These are the things that I like to do. Are you going to be cool with that? So yeah, transparency, I think, is something that is lacking in the beginning of a lot of relationships.
All right, just let's go for a short break. We'll be back just for some few seconds. All right, Elafe, good evening. How you doing?
Okay.
Hi. All right. You see, my wife, I have 4 children. My wife has 4. We have 4 children, and I was looking at her today, and I was like, wow, you don't even look like a mother of one. And we got talking, we laughed, and it baffles me that some women immediately after childbirth, just one child, they're losing up. And somebody who used to be very beautiful, neat, and becomes something else. What advice do you have for such women?
Like I said at the beginning, relationships or marriages are a commitment. A commitment is something that you may not always want to do every day, but it's something that you have to do. It is something you have decided to do. Just like when we wake up in the morning, we may not always want to go to work. We may not always want to get out of bed, but we have to do it because we know that it is a commitment that we made. But unfortunately, what happens is that a lot of women, like I said, they see marriage as an end, not a means. And what that means is that they struggle their whole lives to look good, to look beautiful, to attract men. And when they've attracted that man and they're married to that man, then it's like, okay, here, I'm already here. I don't need to put the effort in. So I think it's a problem. I always tell women, I find it very odd that a woman would buy all these wigs and, under her hair, under the wig, the hair is all, loosely plaited. And she puts on the wig and she walks out of the house, looks good for everybody, and comes home where the man that she committed she said she was going to be committed to is living. She takes off the wig and she looks, all, frumpy. And it's something that is not fair. It's something that's not fair for the men because you have to understand that a man wants you to look good. A man wants, that's what attracts a man first and foremost. So you have to make that commitment. Honestly, even before I had a child, I'll be honest, there's some things that I didn't always want to I wasn't always in the mood to do some certain things. I wasn't always in the mood to get my hair done. I wasn't always in the mood to wear some certain things. In fact, I wasn't always in the mood to have sex. But then there are times that I would just tell myself, look, I have committed to doing this. So I have to get up, and I have to not get up and do it reluctantly, but you have to act like you actually want to be there. You actually want
it, yeah.
Yeah. But then, that being said, let me just say, like I said, a woman is moved by how you make her feel, right? There are a lot of men who don't encourage their women to look good. In Africa, I'm going to talk about Nigeria because we are Nigerians. It is virtually impossible to look good, to look sexy, to look on time when you're cleaning the house, you're washing the plates, you're taking care of the baby, you're doing all that by yourself. And most of these women are working outside the home also. So what the men do, they come home, they eat. Some of them even feel reluctant to take their plates to the kitchen. And then they wake up the next morning, they take their bath, and they're out again.
They're
And
off.
these women all these chores by themselves. It is not easy. You cannot do all of that and still, have time to go to the gym, have time to look good, have time. You will not even be in the mood to look the way you are supposed to look. So, as much as some women forget their commitments when it comes to looking good for their men, there are men who also don't make it easy for these women. And this is a very big problem we have in this society. A lot of men expect their wives to look a certain way when they have not provided the groundwork for them to look that certain way. You go out and you see women outside looking all good, and you're like, why is my wife not looking like this? But these women have maybe two or three housemaids at home. These women have husbands who get up in the morning and sweep or wash the plates or do something. These women have help. Like, there are women who don't remember the last time they cooked. There are women who don't remember the last time they entered the kitchen. They might be the ones taking care of the kids or bathing the kids, and somebody else is doing something else. So that makes it easier. There's not enough time in 24 hours in a day for you to look good and sexy when you're doing all of that. There is not enough time.
Now, I look at you. There's a question here for you. Thank you for the insightful contribution. Can a man love two ladies simultaneously, put into consideration the Islamic tradition?
Honestly, no. Honestly, I do not believe a man can love two women at the same frequency at the same time. He may love them for at different frequencies. He may love one for something else and love the other for something else. Love is not just one variable. Love, I think, to me, love has different levels. Just like a parent with more than one child, you love all of them, but there's a child you love more for something else, and there's a child you love more for something else. So I think, yeah, you can love them at the same time, but not at the same frequency. And there's always going to be one that you love the most. There's always going to be the one that makes you, more.
All
yourself.
right, Keju. Now let's take the last question so that you can attend to our beautiful daughter there. How dealing with emotional trauma, abuse, harassment, a relationship. A lot of ladies are going through traumatic experiences in their relationships and their marriages. Sexual abuse, physical abuse, harassment, and all what have you. How can a woman deal with such? We have rape even in marriages. There are issues of rape. How can our women deal with this?
This is a very, very, very good question, and it is one that I'm glad that I'm going to be talking about. The truth of the matter is, in our society, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of mental evaluations before marriages, before many things. We don't take into cognizance the importance of mental health. I was talking a while ago about rape and sexual harassment for minors, and the truth of the matter is, many people who were raped or sexually abused as children do not heal. They don't go to therapy. They don't go and get help. They just brave it, and somehow they think they are well again. These people enter marriages and in turn start to abuse. The thing about abuse is that when you're abused and you don't heal, you don't deal with it, you don't get mental treatment, what happens is that it spills out in other ways. Some people start to overeat and they get fat. Some people become sex addicts. You see them sleeping around with everybody, even when they're married. Some people become drunks. Some people overdrink. Some people oversmoke. There are many forms of addiction that come as a result of not healing from the trauma that you have been through. So there are many people who get married, and that is why I advise people, before you get married, one of the things you should try to find out is a person's history as regards abuse. because a lot of people see their mothers being beaten, their fathers being beaten. A lot of people have been beating themselves, but because we're Africans, we think it is normal. It is normal to beat children, or it is normal for children to see this. And because the child looks physically okay, they have a job, they are making money, and this child is fine. No, it comes out in other ways. And that is why whenever we talk about domestic violence, I'm very slow to vilify the perpetrator. Most times it is men. I'm very slow to vilify the men, because as much as it's terrible to beat your wife, don't get me wrong, it is terrible. But something triggers that. There's something that triggers a man to want to beat his wife. There's something that triggers you, that when your wife says something to you, instead of communicating back to her and saying, you know, I don't like what you said to me, or walking away, your reaction is to beat the wife. These are the same people when somebody does something to them on the road, like they're driving and the person doesn't drive properly, they're ready to come out and say they're going to fight. There is something wrong if your first reaction is violence. There is something going on there. But a lot of people don't want to have that conversation. A lot of people think that when you physically look okay, you're making money, you're wearing designer clothes, then mentally you must be fine. That is not true. So my advice for people who are going through abuse, not just women, a lot of men go through abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse in their homes. My advice is as much as possible. I mean, if your life is not at risk, if it's a situation where your life is not at risk, where you're not going to lose your life or the lives of your kids, as much as possible, you should try to seek mental help. Get therapy. And when I say therapy, I don't mean pastors or imams. I'm talking about people who have been trained to deal with mental problems, mental health, because mental health issues are a serious problem. Dare I say, they may be more serious than physical illness, because they go on in the mind and they left unattended. People think that, you know, everybody is fine. And most of us Nigerians, most of us have had some form of traumatic experiences or the other. Some people have been raped, some people have been molested, some people have lived through their fathers beating their mothers beating or abusing their dads. You know, they've lived in houses where these things were going on and it was normalized. And so they grow up, and you cannot divorce yourself from your upbringing. What you see, and that is why the Bible says, you know, teach a child the way you want a child to go, and the child will not depart. What you see is what a child sees, is what, and not what they would replicate, even if they consciously do not want to replicate it. Some people who beat their wives, let me tell you, they tell themselves, I don't want to do this. I don't want to beat this woman. But then something comes over them. It's like a blinding rage. They don't see. And then when it's done, they sit back, and that's why some of them cry. I am not making an excuse for people who beat their wives or their husbands. I am not saying it is okay. I am not saying it is right. But I am saying for every action, there is a reason. And if you solve the problem, you should find the reason why that person behaves that way. Let me just say this. Let me just end my talks with this. No happy person hurts somebody else. If you're happy, you want other people to be happy. Just think, if you won a lottery right now, you'd want to call your friends and say, let's go and celebrate. You won't win a lottery and see your wife and say, I want to punch you, right? So when somebody is happy, they want to make other people happy. When somebody is hurt, they want to hurt somebody else, because misery needs company. When you're miserable, you want somebody else to be miserable. And that is so people should find the root cause of these abuses.
Thank you, Alikeju. Although we are out of time already, we have two questions. One from Babatunde Julius. I'd like you to go to the page under this video, go to the page and respond to them. Also, Alimat Isa is asking a question. We're out of time. I really wanted to attend to that beautiful girl there. We're out of time. So please take your time to respond to them in the comment section. Thank you for coming, and I hope that when we call on you next time, you oblige us. Hello, can you hear me?
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
We hope to see you some other time. Thank you. Yes, and that's all about relationship and matters of the heart today. We had a very interesting one with Uchenni Alikeju Zainab. Please, we want you to stay with us. The next personality will be coming with is Babatunde Irukera. Babatunde Irukera is the DG of the former Consumer Protection Council, FCCCP now. It will be coming in the next edition. And please, we'd like you to package your questions and wait for him. You know, they have to do with tariffs and this and that. Until then, do have a lovely evening. Thank you for staying with us. See you next time, and God bless you.